You take about 10 more?
Yeah, we can take, no,
All
they
right.
said badges of 5-5.
Okay.
Badges of 5-5, I think. Great.
Can I go ahead?
Please go ahead.
Counsel, you said lawyers
Name,
are.
please.
Oh, sorry. My name is Ado Kangira from the People Daily. Yes. You said lawyers are members of the society who should always ensure that justice is served. This is about, I'm just seeking your opinion on this. The case of Buire, the terror convict. This is a suspect who pleaded guilty 3 times in court and was convicted based on the evidence and his confession. Then at one point, the good lawyer, Professor Nandwa, saw some loophole and realized, basically was jailed for life because of the 2 cases, 2 counts of grievous harm, and we all know that 2 victims were seriously injured. But now the good lawyer took advantage of this when he appealed and said that during that time, the P3, which ought to have confirmed that the victims actually sustained grievous harm, the P3 was never presented in court. In this particular case, whose interest is the lawyer serving? Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have Roslyn. We'll ask 5 questions.
Okay, my name is Roslyn from The Standard. Maybe just to take you back to what you had addressed, Nzao raised, and I think Oyuga, on the interest of lawyers. We have seen a trend where there are lawyers who actually appear when there is a case only to secure bail, and after that you don't see them proceeding with the case. Is it part of the profession to just have lawyers who their profession is just to get the bail, and there are very a number of specific lawyers in cases of drugs and murder?
Roslyn, Paul, I see you already have the microphone. You are rigging this session.
Should I go ahead? Senior Counsel, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the presentation. My question is in relation to, I would like to hear your opinion on some of this. My name is Paul Achar. I'm a communication consultant, and I'm quite happy with the sentiments that you have expressed on how the office can communicate better. I'm also keen to hear your thoughts on some of this. You've talked about other lawyers and other counsels who go out, and I think Roslyn has alluded to the fact that some of them just appear. Now, my question is, we've seen lately a lot of lawsuits or petitions being filed against the DPP by some of these lawyers. And some of these petitions have ended up being withdrawn by people who filed them. So I'm keen to hear your thoughts. Are these petitions frivolous? Is it an abuse of the PSC process? Just keen to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Madam Millicent?
My name is Millicent Awar. Mine is very simple. Are defense lawyers criminals? Thank you.
What a question. What a question.
My name is Wawerua Nyabura from Inoro TV. My question is related to what Roslyn has raised. There is a pattern I have noticed with most what you'd call high-profile cases. They start with the dramatic, shouting, sometimes the slaying lawyers, and then at some point, they dropped, and then new serious guys come in, and we tend to forget the stories after they stop being dramatic. Is that a strategy that defense lawyers use sometimes to attract coverage?
Thank you so much. Those are 5 questions, Senior Counsel.
Hassan.
And maybe as you are heading towards
Excuse
the
me?
dais,
One more, just one last
no,
one.
please let's allow 5. You'll have the time. Let's allow Counsel to have the 5 questions as he had kindly requested, so that he doesn't lose his line of thought. But as he's walking towards the dais, Senior Counsel, you have said something that has been going through my mind. You said that delaying tactics is an accepted strategy. And we know that delaying justice, what do they say? Justice delayed is justice denied. Yet you say that you are serving the cause of justice. Now, in this respect, where there is clear evidence of delaying tactics, should we be citing those defense counsels for misconduct? Because they are not serving the cause of justice. Is it not a professional misconduct to engage in delaying tactics?
Thank you, Hassan. Let me start with Mr. Agira's question relating to Bwire and a terrorist convict, I think, and the question of the P3 not having been presented and a lawyer taking that point on appeal. Is this in the interest of justice? Is he serving the community? Is he serving justice? From the information you've given me, because I have no other information about this matter, I can only say the lawyer was doing his job, the job of ensuring when you go on an appeal, the question is always, is this conviction safe? Is this conviction secure? How was this conviction obtained? If the conviction was obtained notwithstanding a serious evidential gap, the Court of Appeal or the appellant court, whatever stage that appellant court may be sitting, will vitiate the conviction. It will vacate that conviction. And it does so because the law requires it to do that. If the court is convinced this was a gap which probably was not intended, but justice demands that instead of quashing the conviction, there should be a retrial, the appellant court will require a retrial to be taken. So it's always a question of, is this conviction, can it be defended under the law? If it cannot be defended, the lawyer is properly entitled to attack the conviction, to say certain evidence was missing, and with that evidence missing, you couldn't give that conviction. And to me, from what you say, this professor was doing his job. But I thought, because the DPP is also seated here, that the question of a convict who has been released, should he also be abducted, never to be seen again? Is that permissible in our society? Is that the way we want to deal with crime or with criminals? I think that is also an important question to address. Where is Bwire? If he served his entire sentence, don't we have faith in our penal institution? Wasn't he reformed? So why would you abduct him, and what have you done with him? That should also be a question that should concern you as members of the fourth estate, as you are concerned with why he was released by the appeal court. Now, Roslyn talks about the trend where some of us appear to secure bail in drug cases and murder, and we disappear. I must confess, I am old school, and I am an extremely conservative person. Personally, I have never taken a criminal case just to appear in bail and disappear. If I take instructions to defend somebody, for as long as those instructions are in place, and that's the way I was trained, we will start from bail taking, possibly all the way either to acquittal or conviction. But generations have sometimes different ways of doing things. I don't know whether the people of the fourth estate, there has been change in your profession or not. What I can say, my understanding of our code of conduct is you should take a case where you have a full brief. It is not a case where you will just appear for bail, and sometimes the impression has been created you are just appearing for the cameras, and as soon as plea is taken, you are never seen again. So what I can say, I do not think this is what is expected of advocates. That is not the conduct expected. One expects you will have full instructions to deal with the matter. Well, the younger lawyers may argue what is wrong with specializing in just taking bail, and they can make a big argument about it. You go to countries like the US and you find a guy who says he specializes on brown powder only. He doesn't touch white. And you would ask yourself, are these all not drugs? But he says this is the narrow area I've specialized in. I don't know. Those who present the argument that they specialize in dealing with the bond or bail may have an argument worth listening to. Paul has asked about petitions against the DPP and whether we are abusing the Public Service Commission. Let me say this, and this is a consumer of the news that the guys of the Fourth Estate produce. I have not had any conversation with the DPP about this. But reading the press, quite clearly there are people, for whatever reason, who would want the DPP out of his office. And that doesn't surprise me. His predecessor, Kioko Tombiko, a good friend of mine, who I was representing, had no more than 8 petitions for his removal. The most powerful constitutional office in the Republic of Kenya is the DPP. I don't know, for purposes of protocol, how these offices are ranked. But from the power vested in the DPP, this is the most powerful office. And we are not going to be allowed to sit pretty in the most powerful office. Enemies, imaginary and real, will try to throw as much mud as possible in the hope that some may stick. And that is why you will see some of the petitions are filed and they are dropped. Some of the petitioners, they are prawns. They are being sponsored by people who don't want to be seen. And that is why sometimes the petitions do not have a basis. Again, reading from and looking at the electronic media, the DPP secured orders, interim orders, to stay those petitions. And I hope those are the petitions that you are referring to. And so my answer to this is this office, whoever sits there, whoever will be DPP, expect there will be petitions of this kind. Because the decision whether to charge or not to charge will always attract opposition. It will always attract admirers and enemies in equal measure. But I trust the DPP has the tenacity to deal with all that. Let me now go to Millicent. And Millicent's question is, she put it this way. Mine is simple. Are defense lawyers criminals? Plain and simple. Millicent, a professional criminal lawyer who subscribes and upholds the ethical standards is not a criminal. He is an officer of the court. Millicent, a defense lawyer who does not live by the ethical standards, who does not live by the professional code of standard, and defense lawyer who makes misrepresentation to secure acquittal of a client, a defense lawyer who participates in destroying prosecution evidence so as to avoid conviction is a criminal. And now I go to Wakira's question. This was presented in a very interesting way, and it's a question more or less linked to what Roslyn was asking. He talks of slay lawyers who appear in the initial plea taking, disappear, and other lawyers take over these cases. I don't take this as a strategy of defense lawyers, because that's the question you posed. This is no strategy of defense lawyers. Many of the times, the ordinary client is ignorant about who can offer what service. And to a large extent, when for the first time you've been arrested, a decision has been made to charge you, that may be the very first time you are coming into contact with lawyers who practice criminal law. And so what is their first port of call? It is the media. And they will ask from the media, who is the lawyer who does these drugs cases? Who is the lawyer who does these murder cases? And the first call will go to those lawyers because of the information they have been given by the state. By the time the client realizes this lawyer cannot do this case, he is already in his hands, he has paid him money, and he has started disappearing from the court corridors. He doesn't even turn up for the trial or for a mention. And it is that time that the accused person will seek to know from other members of society, I took this lawyer, anaambiwa huyo ni wa plea, tafuta serious lawyer. And ask Nyakundi, ask Kiplagat, Swale Mdoi doesn't come to the court corridors. They will tell you they are asked by clients, by accused persons. I have this problem, who do I see? They whisper to them, huyu ni wa plea, nenda utafute wakili. And now I come to the last one, an issue raised by Hassan, delaying tactics. Whether it is professional, whether it is ethical, whether they should report this as misconduct. This is a question with no clear-cut answer. It depends on, is it a pattern that arises in this case that throughout the intention is to deploy a delay tactic? Or is it that there are actually genuine legal questions being raised, and which questions would end up delaying the case? The delay may be the desired result, but the raising of the question may jolly well be a legitimate legal concern. There was the matter of Gishuru and Okemo, which went all the way to Supreme Court. At some stage, I participated in that case. And it became important to raise the question, under the 2010 Constitution, extradition, is it in the purview of the AG or in the purview of the DPP? That was a legitimate question. The desired result may have been the delay which has now been experienced of over 10 years. Did we need to do 10 years? Certainly not. If the DPP and the AG sat over a cup of coffee, resolved the issue, that would have been the end of it. But once you also allow a legitimate point to be used to obtain delay, I doubt whether you can consider that unethical. Because once a problem comes, it's the way you resolve it. It could have been resolved in 10 minutes cup of tea between the DPP and the Attorney General. We would have saved 10 years. That was not done. I'm presently reading a book called Ego is the Problem. So if we drop ego, we can sort out so many things. That is my answer, Mr. Hassan, on delaying tactics.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Senior Counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we are 15 minutes away from 12 o'clock. And the tea is getting, and the coffee out there is getting very cold. And we also need to allow the staff there to attend to other duties. So Mr. Senior Counsel will be with us at the cocktail session, so he will still be there to answer the questions that we have. So for now, yes, sir. For now, can we please spend this 15 minutes to 12 to have our coffee? I'm sure most of us need that coffee, don't we?
Maybe before you leave, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Senior Counsel for finding time and joining us here. I was supposed to give his bio data before he speaks, but I had gone to pick up a call. So I'll just do that very quickly. I'm not doing this because he said I'm the most powerful, or I sit in the most powerful office. Don't get me wrong. So Mr. Kioko Kilukumi is a senior counsel. He attended school, his primary school in Kilukumi Primary School, Mwala, Machakos. He attended his O-level in Mwala Miss School and his secondary A-level in Kagumo High School. He joined the University of Nairobi in the 1980s and was admitted in the bar and the High Court as an advocate of the High Court in 1990, and joined briefly the law firm of Kaplan and Stratton Advocates together with Fred Ojambo, the senior counsel. Mr. Kioko Kilukumi has served in Swaziland as a senior Crown Counsel and a prosecutor in Swaziland for 3 years. He is also the chair of the Energy and Petroleum Tribunal for the second time running now. He has concluded a number of notable cases with impactful jurisprudential changes, and one such case is the Moratetu case that changed the death penalty by not making it mandatory. He's also attended a number of cases at the ICC and has represented a number of accused in cases like the Kikambala bombing, which consequently, because of that case, the Witness Protection Authority was established. So thank you very much, sir, and thank you for the wealth of experience that you've shared with us.
Thank you so much, sir. It's quite an honor to have your bio being read by the DPP as opposed to the Master of Ceremony. And that reflects the very high esteem and regard with which we hold you. I allowed the DPP himself to do that. So thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, we can have that very short break, and then we come back at noon so that our panelists can take the floor, and we spend the coming hours until lunchtime to engage with them. So can we, before we rise, can we give a round of applause to our senior counsel for the fantastic presentation that he has given us? Huh? Wanataka style. So, nani bwana, naona swali anatafakari hayo. Wacha tupatie ile ya kisasa. Huyu ndo amesema. Please. Haya.
Wow. Okay, we'll do it the rainfall way. So we'll do 5, then 4, then 3, 2, and then 1.
Thank you so much, Roslyn. Thank you, sir. Senior counsel, please karibu kwa kahawa.